Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Embrace the Face, where today we are talking all things Reiki. And I have Rei McGuire here with me. Hi, Rei.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. So Lori's been on before. So Lori is a very good friend of mine. She's also a co-owner of Charmed Eclectic Healing Shop in Belmore, New York on Long Island. And Lori is actually my personal Reiki master. She trained me over the years. And I am proud to introduce you as Sensei Rei McGuire. So Lori, let's give our listeners a brief background on what Reiki actually is and how they can incorporate it into their own lives.
Sure. And Reiki could be a big, broad topic for a bunch of people. It's not exactly the same thing for everybody, but the basic meaning is it's energy healing. And everybody learns it different ways, but the main technique and the main way started from Dr. Usui back in the 1920s. So I'm proud it's about over 100 years now that we're keeping that tradition going, which is really cool. And the cool thing about it, which is most important, why I was saying it's just like a broad range, because you could be any religion, any belief system. You don't have to be tied into one thing. It's not like a cult. It's not, you have to have a certain set of beliefs in order to practice Reiki. And that's what I really love about it. So it's really the introduction to self-healing, and then eventually you learn how to heal others as well.
Yes, so I think it's so important that you touched on the fact that it's different for all. It's not one size fits all. I think that a lot of people, we can talk about the whole misconstrued notion within Reiki, energy healing, and religion, where it really, the basis of it is like Palmer healing, like hands-on intuitive healing. And when we discuss ancient times, such as like Jesus and the apostles and going around and healing people with their palms, that is the general idea. So I always give that prime example, not to stir up controversy, but to just kind of give an idea of, yes, Jesus, was a miraculous healer. He was 100% spiritual and human being. And his apostles were just like, ordinary people like you and I who really resonated with his word and decided to train under him. And they were then able to pass on to be a channel for healing other people of humanity. And so it doesn't matter if you were, in that regard, if you are Usui Reiki, there's like solar Reiki, there's other people have their own techniques that they've developed over the years. But the one that we're talking about today that we are certified and trained to practice under is Dr. Usui's Reiki. So let's talk about in Reiki, when people, when they ask like, oh, well, what's going to happen in my appointment? So let's kind of like guide them through as if they were making their first appointment and you were going to explain to them what was going to happen.
Okay, so for your first appointment, really you're going to just come in and expect to relax. I feel like that is one of the major reasons why you're coming in. When you're relaxing, you're letting go of stress, you're just kind of grounding yourself in your energy, and you're becoming more present. And that's what we help you to do. I tell people it's kind of like a guided meditation. It's not a massage because you don't get manipulated, but there is hands-on. Maybe a little bit of pressure, so it's kind of like a light acupressure, but it's all where we're intuitively guided to heal, and it's the energy exchange that we get while you are relaxing, while you are comfortable. You are gonna be fully dressed. You're probably gonna be laying down. You could definitely do it sitting up, depending on circumstances and whatever's going on. But most of the time you lay down, you're relaxed, with a blanket on or off. As long as you're comfortable, that's it. So you're going to expect to come in, lay down, relax, and just be guided by energy and some singing bowls, some great music the whole time while you're relaxing. We are healing your energy, we are clearing you, and we're trying to align your chakras.
Yes, I was just going to talk about those chakras. So, for those not familiar, the chakra system is our energetic body system. The definition of a chakra is actually spinning wheel or disc. So, if you can imagine our energy per Einstein, everything is energy. Energy never ceases. So, we are made up of energy. We are both energetic beings. We have this physical dense body, this 3D physical body that over time, our emotions as we are raised in our childhood, everybody has some sort of trauma or some sort of incident that has occurred, and perhaps as a child, not emotionally regulated enough due to whether upbringing or just their own being, that they can't process. So what happens? All that energy builds up, and it builds up in different places in the body, and it causes these blockages essentially in your 7 main chakras. Now, studies do show, if we really deep dived into it, that there are upwards of like dozens of energy centers within our physical body and our auric field, those 7 layers. Yep, and above. And so when we talk about this, we are working as the Reiki practitioners to break up mostly from root to crown. So those 7 main energy centers. And we try to, if they're spinning slowly because they are blocked for whatever reason, we're removing that. And we are clearing that for you with the intention that once you leave your appointment, that you understand what was occurring, and that you can then go forth as your own Reiki healer if you'd like to be certified to be able to practice on your own. But also, if you don't want to get certified in any way, it's just the idea that like we are tapping into your energy. We are helping you to heal, to clear these blockages so that you can then move forward and really do that inner work to keep the blockages open.
Right.
Like you go to the dentist and you get your cleaning. You're not just going to go and like shove chocolate and sugar all over your face and like cover up all the nice cleaning that they did, right? Like, I mean, maybe some people do, but like bottom line is like you want to keep it clean. You want to keep it fresh and no buildup, no tartar, no nothing like that, and kind of just go with that flow, and then recognizing when, as time goes on, that although there's no such thing as time, but recognizing like, hey, I'm not feeling very grounded. Maybe my root chakra is kind of getting muddled up again. So what are some signs that somebody might notice if they need to do some grounding on their own, or maybe they need to come back for another treatment?
If they're running from things, I always say, if you feel like your energy is not being present, if you feel like you're putting yourself too much in the future or the past, definitely that's a sign that you need to come in and ground, come back to present, realign yourself. A lot of times that I notice with people, especially with blocked roots, is that their feet or the energy by their feet is like constantly going, like they can't relax, they can't calm down because they're not able to because their root is blocked. And the other thing I was gonna say is just again, the energy that flows through us is supposed to be like a nice smoothing circuit, a nice smooth circuit that keeps on going. And when you're blocked, it's not like that, and your mood and your whole energy definitely could feel and sense it. So if you're anxious or high anxiety, it's really good to do some Reiki. It's really good to do Reiki 1, especially if you're very anxious, because it teaches you how to like literally take your energy back and ground it and be less anxious.
Yes, I agree. So it actually gives me the thought that I guess as a nurse, like, we have to take CPR, we have to know CPR, the Heimlich, and basic CPR, right? And feel like a lot of professions, they, not even just in nursing or healthcare, but like lifeguard or babysitter, daycare, like they need to learn those basic skills, right, in order to be able to do their job. So it's kind of like, I feel like with Reiki, those two things kind of go hands in hand. Like I feel like it's something that, if you work around other people, then you should definitely know, I think, how to do Reiki, or at least understand, like, because it's not something that excludes all of us.
Right.
It's just like, if God forbid somebody had a heart attack or was choking, those things can happen to anybody and everybody at any time.
Of course.
Anxiety and stress and, not being grounded can happen to anybody at any time, any place. And it is a practice that when you really make it into like a daily ritual or as needed, it really is, to me at least, like a mind, body, spirit, life-saving technique and a maintenance.
Exactly. And the thing
Life change.
is, if you don't, I mean, people don't realize what's going on. They don't understand why they're so anxious or why their energy is so frazzled sometimes. So once you start doing Reiki, you really learn to understand why and where it's coming from. And then it's that much easier to help yourself to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to give a really like prime example. As a nurse in the Western world for at least a decade at that point, I had flown up from North Carolina for an interview. And I was just talking about this last night, about how we never know where life is going to take us, right? And when I flew up in 2016 for this interview for this job that I took, I laughed in the interview and I told my husband, I told Kevin, I was like, I'm pretty sure I botched that interview. I flew up here for nothing. I'm going to get on the next flight home. And he was like, what do you mean? What did they say? And I said, well, they told me that I was going to have to be a Tai Chi instructor. And I was like, I laughed. I literally laughed. And I was like, oh my gosh, I totally offended them. They're not going to give me this job. I had no idea what Tai Chi was. To me, it was just like, martial arts and like old people in a park. And I was like, how does that relate to nursing? I don't understand. Long story short, fast forward almost 8 years later, Tai Chi, energy.
Yeah.
So in 2016, I learned what energy was and what chi was. And then again, as a nurse, I only knew about the physical body. I never knew about the energetic body. I never knew about the mind spirit body. And never ever in nursing school was it ever mentioned until I found this little niche. And it's incredible to me that most Eastern medicine philosophies, obviously, in Asian cultures and in ancient Indian culture, they all know about the third eye. They all know about chi and what it means to be one with source, regardless of who their higher power is. So it's really, it's fascinating how the smallest thing can like to completely change your trajectory on where you go in life. And I have to say, as somebody who is a depressed, anxious mess, like a hot mess, Reiki has literally changed my life. And it has saved my life in a way that, like, I'm so grateful. And you do a wonderful job at guiding people into relaxation, into a relaxed state. Because a lot of people don't even know how to relax.
Mm-hmm.
They
Exactly.
can't sit with themselves. They can't, and that's your nervous system. So if you cannot sit and relax, you are not comfortable or grounded in your own body. Is that safe to say?
100%. And when you're healing on a cellular level is when you're relaxed.
Yes. Oh, let's talk about that. So we have talked about in the past, you and I, about when you receive like a diagnosis, right? And there's the outcome of either you envision healing and you're going to heal, or you see the darkness in it and you either like kind of get stuck there in a sense, or it can bring you down even further. So talk about how when somebody receives, it can be anything from like a a bronchitis, a pneumonia, to like terminal cancer. So this is like a broad, very broad range. So how would you guide somebody in that?
Okay, so when somebody wants to, I want to say, just improve their health, and they're given a diagnosis of whatever it may be, my best advice is to visualize your cells getting better. There definitely a huge connection between visualization, manifestation, mind, that then creates what's happening. So if you're given a terrible diagnosis of cancer, let's say, you could take that and you could be upset about it, obviously, because, you know, who wouldn't be?
Mhm.
Then I want you to think about that upsetness is actually a lower vibration. It's a negative energy. It's dark. And if you're going to be in that dark mood, you're going to have dark cells, right? So it's just going to feed the cancer. Now, if you take that and you're upset about it, but then you say, you know what, I'm not going to let that take me. I'm not going to let this bring me down. And you start visualizing your cells healing. Like I always tell people, especially my sick patients, to visualize their cells however they are, like dark or broken or messed up. And then when you're getting Reiki or you're doing Reiki to yourself, visualize them like coming back to like a nice circle, like full and plump, light, white, bright, not dark.
Mhm.
The more you do that, the actual crazy way, but it's true, the better your mindset changes and your energy field changes, and then you actually feel healthier and you're encouraging your body to be healthier, and you could actually get better faster. It's the same thing with the flu, with bronchitis, with any type of sickness. If you tell yourself, I'm so sick, this is terrible, and you're just like under the blankets and marinating in all your germs, like you're going to just make it worse. But if you have the flu and you take your medicine and you go stand out in the sun and you're like, all right, I'm getting better. This is going away. And I even visualize like literally pulling mucus out and out, like I'll pull it out in any sickness and I take it out. And if you do that and you're believing it and visualizing it and consistent, you're going to feel better 3 days sooner than the other person that's under their blanket. It's just,
Yeah.
it's proven.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. And I don't care how crazy I look to my neighbors standing outside in the sun, like
Yeah.
mimicking like the removing of mucus. Like, yes, don't worry, don't mind me. I'm just out here in a tree pose, grounding myself with singing bowls and like, breathing it all in. So, but it's so true. It's so, and I really personally can attest to that. I think when I first met you, like 4 years ago, I was in a victim state of I'm sick. And that was my self identification. And I still have a disease process of a neurodegenerative disease process. However, like I just went to my specialist yesterday and she's so happy with my progress. She's blown away on like how much I have, honed in on what in my life needed to be removed, what mindset I needed to change in order to truly heal. And I think a prime example that much of the population would know, Dr. Joe Dispenza. He is known for his work in all of this in like quantum energy healing, and he is an inspiration to many around the world, and internationally speaks. And he talks to how he literally broke his back, like fractured his spines, and he was told that he was never ever going to walk ever again, and like that was it. He was done for. And I believe he's a chiropractor, if I'm right. And he energetically and visually not only prevented himself from needing like a million surgeries, but literally healed his whole body. And there's recently an NFL player, I don't know his name off the top of my head, had a severe spinal injury as well, playing football. And he ended up in the hospital being told also you're never going to walk again. I believe he had like one surgery, but he just knew to his core. And this is another thing, your intuition, your core frequency, your higher self frequency. He's quoted as saying like, I'm not going to accept this. Like, this is not what my life is. I'm going to walk again. And I think he like knew like, okay, maybe I won't go back to playing NFL football, but like I am going to walk again. And he did.
And
And
that's the thing. We're not saying it's a miracle, like it's going to put you back 100%, or,
yeah,
you know, it's just the fact that it's going to get you to 80 instead of 20, which I think is what's
yes.
really important, because that's what we have to know. I mean, and we're human. So nothing's perfect. You know, nobody's going to be 100% all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
also to the part of forgiving yourself for getting in a dark place and being depressed about things, because it happens and it's still going to happen. But it's
Mm-hmm.
there. It's how you get yourself out of it, you know? And I think that's the important part.
I love it. Yeah, that resiliency and that 3D low vibe is still going to come at you, and those curveballs are still going to happen. That's where,
When you are in such a good spiritual vibration, in such a good place, you're going to get thrown rocks at you consistently until your energy gets lowered. It's just the way of the universe. It's the lower astrals that don't want us to be higher. Who knows? It's just that's what it is. But it's when you get hit and you fall that you get back up, and that's all that matters. They want you to get hit and fall and keep on going down, but you don't let that, especially when
not today, Satan, not today.
exactly, especially when you're doing Reiki or you're just in that mindset. And when you know, the thing is, it's like once you know, and you can't unknow it. So I catch myself all the time. I mean, I have a million things going on with family stuff and school stuff that I could be under the covers and just not coming out, you know, like upset and depressed. And sure, I'm not happy about certain things, but what can I do? I take that as it's my time to shine, and I'm not going to let them take me out.
No, you can't. You got to stand your ground, speak your truth, and that's really where like the healing comes in. And I think if everybody understood how to tap into their energetic mind, body, spirit system, it's almost like
You can't untap once you tap.
yeah, and it's almost as though you start to have this like inner standing of like, oh, okay, like I'm feeling really really good, something really good happens, and then when that low blow comes, that it really is all it's that autonomic nervous system regulation of you take that hit, that blow, it puts you into a state of either fight or flight or freeze, and then it's about, okay, how quickly can I, now that I have these tools, how quickly can I accept, process, let go, release, forgive, and return to that state of like homeostasis, that state of balance, back in high vibe.
You know what the best thing for that is? And this what all the time and what Reiki has taught me tremendously, gratitude. It's
Yeah.
pretty much simple as that, because you can be on your high and being everything's going great and this is amazing, I'm loving everything, it's all working out for me, something bad happens, and then you know what, say, all right, well, that's bad and that happened, but look at these other things that I have. And that one little change in your mindset changes the whole thing. It doesn't put you then lower, it keeps you still higher, and it keeps you going, and that's a big major thing I'm going to say that Reiki teaches you is gratitude, especially with just
Yeah.
it's that practice of saying things that you're grateful for every day. When you first start, you have to kind of remember or get into the habit, but then it just comes so naturally, and if you don't do it, you notice.
Yeah, yeah. And it's actually, that's a blessing in itself, I think, to be able to, and call it what you will, the gratitude, like that's your heart center, that Christ consciousness, your connection to source, whatever it is. And it really is about like being aware. And you very quickly start to notice, like you get up in a tizzy and then you're like, wait a second, like look at everything around me. I have everything I need. I have food in my belly. I have water. I have shelter. If it's winter and I have heat, I'm grateful. If it's blazing hot and I have air conditioning, I'm grateful. If I'm mad at my kids, wait a second. Like I brought these children into the world.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like I am their mom. Like, it's okay that I get frustrated. Let me just reground.
Yep.
Right? Let me recenter myself and remember that, like, the way I speak to them is their inner voice. So it's all, I feel like, full circle encompassing, not just for our own body, mind, spirit health, but for those immediately around us. And then it kind of spreads.
Yep. It does.
Yeah.
They
And
they
that's
keep
the
track.
idea. That's the idea. That's how we spread the positive vibes to all humanity. So, what would you give, so, to close up? What would you give quick advice to somebody who is interested in learning how to tap in?
So if you're interested in learning how to tap in, I would definitely recommend taking a Reiki 1 course. You really don't have to come in with any type of knowledge. Reiki 1, you're going to learn all about where it comes from, and how to start tapping in and how to start self-healing. If you're somewhere where you're not around, or you don't know where to go, you can definitely search it up online. I teach it, Ali teaches it. We have a plethora of other friends and family that teach it.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely feel like you should vibe with your Reiki person, but usually you will, because people that teach Reiki are like-minded, and you really, I feel like I haven't met one Reiki master that I'm just like, oh God, I would never want to train under them. Um,
Yeah.
I think as long as your intentions are to heal and to start this journey, then you're good. So if you have that inkling, do it. Better sooner than later, because it's definitely going to change your life in a good way.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you for that. Thank you for being here, taking the time.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah, we'll definitely continue to spread the love via Reiki. And for anybody who's interested, you can contact Lori. She can be found at Charms Eclectic Healing Shop, and located in Belmore, New York on Long Island. So thank you, Lori, for joining. And everybody listening, come back next week for more high vibe content and interviews. Peace out. God bless.